Good evening. This is AWANI Tonight, and I'm Saraya Mia. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is confident he will get the support needed during the motion of confidence set to take place in Parliament next Monday. The Pakatan Harapan chairperson said leaders of the other coalitions in his government have agreed to back him up.
Dia ketua-ketua parti, PH, Barisan Nasional, GPS, GRS, Warisan dan beberapa parti lain telah beri komitmen dan insya-Allah kita dapat teruskan dengan baik dan minta sudah doakan yang sebaiknya.
The government Anwar is currently leading comprises of Pakatan Harapan, Barisan Nasional and Gabungan Parti Sarawak with a combined number of 135 MPs. Another 13 MPs from Gabungan Rakyat Sabah, Parti Kesejahteraan Demokratik Masyarakat, Parti Bangsa Malaysia and 2 independents have also pledged support for Anwar.
Domestic consumers and SMEs will not be subjected to an electricity tariff hike. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the hike would only affect multinational companies, MNCs, and large export-oriented companies.
There is an urgency to increase, for example, tariff for electricity because the burden to the government is going to reach at least 30 billion ringgit next year. Notwithstanding that fact and the problem that has to be dealt by the government, the decision is clear. We will not burden the rakyat. So there is no, the decision is not to increase tariff, except for the very rich. The problem is subsidy without being seen to be transparent to cover all individuals and companies seem to benefit more the very rich companies. So that's why I think in phases we have taken this measure to have a slight increase in tariff for the multinational corporations because it doesn't affect the rakyat.
Meanwhile, Anwar said the Attorney General has been instructed to review matters pertaining to the Batu Putih claim. The Prime Minister added that the government is also seeking to hold more meaningful negotiations with Singapore. Anwar said the AG was asked to look into the impact of the International Court of Justice's decision to award legal jurisdiction of Batu Putih to Singapore. In 2008, the ICJ ruled that Batu Putih belonged to Singapore, while the sovereignty over Batu Tengah was awarded to Malaysia. The Malaysian government filed an application in 2017 to review the ICJ's decision, but this was withdrawn in 2018 by the then Pakatan Harapan government. In October, former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob revealed the possibility of negligence and mistakes made by Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad when withdrawing the review application. The cabinet under Ismail Sabri then agreed to proceed with the legal action at the ICJ on the dispute. The federal court today granted leave for Malaysian mothers to proceed with their appeal against a ruling that denies their overseas-born children to foreign spouses from automatically becoming Malaysian citizens. This after the government decided not to contest the leave questions proposed by the applicants. In a unanimous decision, a 3-judge panel led by Chief Justice of Sabah and Sarawak, Tan Sri Abang Iskandar Abang Hashim, granted the applicants the leave to proceed with the appeal. The case involves an application to appeal by Family Frontiers and 6 Malaysian mothers against the Malaysian government, Home Minister and the National Registration Department Director General. The court, however, fine-tuned the questions which will be deliberated at the appeal proper. Among the questions highlighted is the fact that the Malaysian government had amended the Federal Constitution's Article 8.2 in September 2001 to stop gender discrimination in Malaysian laws. Currently, the law only allows for overseas-born children of Malaysian fathers to be conferred automatic Malaysian citizenship. The Meteorological Department Met Malaysia warned of continuous rain for 4 days from December 17th to 21st on the east coast states of the peninsula. The wet weather is expected to last until early next year due to the northeast monsoon and the La Niña cycle. Meanwhile, Malaysia's Irrigation and Drainage Department, DID, has issued a flash flood warning in 6 states: Johor, Pahang, Terengganu, Penang, Perak and Negeri Sembilan. The agency issued a Category 1 warning, strong winds and rough seas, for Kelantan, Terengganu and Pahang, which is expected to last until Thursday. It added that prolonged rain could cause the temperature to drop to 22 degrees Celsius on the east coast. Thunderstorms with heavy rain and strong winds are also expected within the peninsula's west coast, West Sabah, and North Sarawak in the afternoon to early parts of the night within the next few days. Almost a year since torrential downpours caused flash floods across most states in the peninsula, leaving 54 people dead. With the year-end monsoon season in full swing again, Dr. Nurul Ashikin Mabahwi, who is a researcher in flood risk management, lists the lessons we must keep in mind.
We had a problem with flood risk preparedness. When you don't prepare the community and officers to deal with flooding that exceeds the reasonable forecast, the same delayed operation like last year will happen again. The community, those living in flood-prone area, must prepare, always be in ready to evacuate mode, identify where is the nearest shelter. But at the same time, we had issues with lack of manpower and logistic assets, and that led to delay in operation last year. And to avoid the same mistakes, please solve that first. Add more manpower. I know that the previous government announced additional budgets for flood logistics. So let's ensure that all the assets exist and functioning. And we had a problem with crowded evacuation center. So from now, we should calculate how many are living in flood-prone area. What are the capacity of the shelter there and where should they evacuate? If we are unable to use the existing route, what are the next option? And do we have the logistic for that? These are the things that the relevant agencies should be able to answer. Of course, we have technology for that. We can calculate. So we must change the way we manage flood risk. I always recommend us to use scientific measures to manage the flood risk.
Dr. Nurul also suggests several immediate measures the Central Disaster Management Committee must take to minimize flood risks.
Structural measures for flood mitigation will take time. But for immediate measures, I recommend us to make use of the existing flood mitigation measures in our country, but with proper maintenance. It is very important for us to have a proper checklist and ensure that we clean all our clogged drain, clean and deepen our river, repair the river bund, and ensure that our existing flood levee in good condition. The reason why I say that it is very important for us to check our river is because that we have 189 river systems in Malaysia, but 85 out of the 189 are prone to flooding. So the government must start ensuring that these 85 rivers are deepened if necessary. Check the capacity first. If it can cope with the possibility of rain exceeds the reasonable forecast, because now we are facing with climate change, so we can prepare the residents nearby in advance or evacuate them early.
Malaysia often views culture and the arts through the lens of revenue generation, as demonstrated by the decision to place the portfolio alongside tourism. Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guests if this is something we should reconsider. We'll take a short break. Stay tuned.
Dalam membawa setiap berita, semestinya yang penting adalah untuk membawa pelbagai sudut sesuatu cerita itu.
Yang pastinya suara akar umbi, terutamanya suara rakyat, harus diberi ruang. Kami di Astro AWANI sentiasa komited dan juga bertanggungjawab dalam menyampaikan berita yang seimbang, konstruktif, terutamanya kepada seluruh rakyat Malaysia.
Saya Jasmine Abu Bakar.
Dan saya Saraya Mia.
Pastikan AWANI 745 dan Sinar AWANI menjadi pilihan utama anda.
Sebagai sebuah organisasi perkhidmatan kewangan global, Sun Life Malaysia menawarkan perlindungan insurans dan takaful yang komprehensif untuk membantu anda mencapai jaminan kewangan dan menjalani kehidupan yang lebih sihat.
Abah kamu ada je yang tak kena. Hari tu,
Uish, laju. Mari. Sebab tu, plan dia sekarang ni paling laju. Ada macam-macam. Hebat, RM10 pun dapat. Opah tu, opah ni, awak pun nak juga kan?
nampak gaya dua-dua ni nak Digi Fiber. Adik pun perhajaan Italian Family kan?
Ceritanya semua orang nak.
Ini pelan yang terbaik untuk keluarga.
Welcome back. Health officials said the true scale of COVID-19 cases in China is now impossible to track due to reduced testing measures. They warned of a rapid spread of cases in Beijing after the country abruptly dropped its zero COVID policy. China last week loosened restrictions for mass testing and quarantine after nearly 3 years of attempting to stamp out the virus. With testing no longer required for much of the country, China's National Health Commission on Wednesday admitted its numbers no longer reflected reality. It said that it would stop reporting new asymptomatic infections too. Chinese leaders are determined to press ahead with opening up, with Beijing's tourism authorities saying on Tuesday that it would resume tour groups in and out of the capital. But the country is facing a surge in cases it is ill-equipped to manage, with millions of vulnerable elderly still not fully vaccinated and underfunded hospitals lacking the resources to deal with expected influx of infected patients. Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, has been denied bail by a judge in the Bahamas. The former billionaire is behind bars after being accused of fraud. He faces up to 115 years in prison if convicted of the charges against him, which U.S. authorities describe as one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history.
Bankman-Fried, who was arrested in the Bahamas on Monday, has indicated he will fight extradition to the U.S. However, the Bahamas chief magistrate ordered him to be remanded to custody until February 2023, citing a heightened flight risk. FTX filed for bankruptcy in the US last month, leaving many users unable to withdraw their funds. Bankman-Fried faces 8 criminal charges in the US, including wire fraud, conspiracy to defraud, and money laundering. Among the most serious allegations against him is that he used billions of customer funds to prop up his investment trading company Alameda. Officials allege he had also used millions of ill-gotten gains for illegal campaign contributions to Democrats and Republicans alike.
Meanwhile, Japan is expected to unveil a new national security strategy on Friday, along with details of its biggest military buildup since World War II. The changes, which come as tensions grow with neighboring China, are likely to include spending on longer-range missiles and cyber warfare capabilities.
The move will reshape Japan's defense landscape, where its post-war constitution does not even officially recognize the military. The shift is the result of the country's fears about China's growing military strength, as well as threats ranging from North Korean missile launchers to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has pledged to hike the country's defense spending by more than 50% over the next 5 years to around $315 billion to bring Japan in line with NATO members' military spending of 2% to GDP. The plan has, however, sparked criticism over how the defense spending will be financed.
Peru's Supreme Court has ordered ousted President Pedro Castillo to remain in custody, denying his appeal. Prosecutors plan to seek Castillo's continued detention for up to 3 years. His appearance in court comes amid ongoing protests by his supporters that have left at least 6 dead. Castillo has denied allegations of conspiracy and rebellion following his arrest last week after he attempted to dissolve Congress ahead of an impeachment vote by lawmakers. Protesters are calling for his freedom, along with the resignation of his successor, Dina Boluarte, and for early general elections to pick a new president. Boluarte has already pledged to bring the elections forward to April 2024. Meanwhile, Peru's armed forces have announced it will take control of key infrastructures, including airports and hydroelectric plants. Facebook parent company Meta is being sued for allegedly enabling the spread of hate and violence during Ethiopia's civil war. The son of an Ethiopian academic who was shot dead after being attacked in Facebook posts is among those bringing the case against Meta.
In the incident, the plaintiff said he tried to get Facebook to remove some of the problematic content, including a post with a photo of his father, but he did not receive a response until after his father was killed in November 2021. He is bringing the lawsuit along with another Ethiopian researcher and a Kenyan civil society group. The lawsuit alleges that Facebook's algorithms are more likely to promote hateful and violent content because that attracts engagement on the platform. The legal filing also claims that Meta underinvests in content moderation in countries in Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. They want a $2 billion fund for victims of hate on Facebook and changes to the platform's algorithm.
That's all we have for you for AWANI tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Saraya Mia. We'll see you again.